I was standing outside the wedding venue bathroom, listening to my own son tell the security guard, "Yeah, she's not allowed back in. That's my mother. Just keep her out." My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my clutch. I had spent months helping plan this wedding, paid for half of it, and now I was being treated like some random wedding crasher. The worst part wasn't that my son banned me from his wedding. The worst part was knowing exactly who had been slowly turning him against me for years, and realizing I had finally hit my breaking point. You know when people say there are two sides to every family drama story? In my case, there were at least four. Mine, my son's, his fiancé's, and my ex-husband's. If this were a Reddit AITA wedding story, you'd probably already be typing not the *** hole by now. But trust me, it's messier than that. For most of my life, I've been painted as the difficult one, the dramatic one, the overbearing mom. But no one ever asks how you got there. No one asks what happens to a mother after years of being disrespected, lied to, and replaced. My son Daniel used to be my little shadow. When he was a kid, he would run to me after school, tell me every detail about his day, hug me like he never wanted to let go. When his father walked out on us for a younger woman, it was just the two of us. I worked 2 jobs, slept 4 hours a night, and skipped meals so he could eat. I remember sitting on the kitchen floor counting coins to pay for his field trip while he slept on the couch with cartoons still playing. I wasn't perfect, but I loved that boy with everything I had. When my ex left, he didn't just leave me. He slowly started rewriting our history. At first, he was the guilty one, apologetic, begging to see our son on weekends. Then, as time passed and his new life settled in, he became bolder. Suddenly, I was the crazy ex-wife who poisoned Daniel against him. He'd tell him, "Your mom is too emotional," or "She always overreacts," whenever I tried to set boundaries. That's how parental alienation starts. Quietly, with little comments, never loud enough to be called out, but constant enough to leave scars. Then, a few years ago, Daniel met Emma. At first, I was relieved. She seemed sweet, funny, always laughing at his jokes, posting cute couple photos with long captions about finding your person. I followed her on social media, liked her posts, even commented sometimes. But early on, I noticed small red flags. She'd make jokes like, "Your mom texts a lot, doesn't she?" Or, "Wow, your mom has opinions on everything." It was subtle, wrapped in a smile, but I felt it. That little sting that says, "You're too much. You're in the way." Family gatherings got weird. If I gave Daniel advice, it became, "Mom, please, we got it," with a tone I'd never heard from him before. If I bought something for their apartment, Emma would say, "Oh, we already have one, but thanks," and then never use it. They started hosting holidays at their place, which I was fine with. But somehow I went from being the host of every Christmas to the guest no one really listens to. I kept telling myself, this is just how it is when your son grows up and gets serious with someone. I didn't want to be the stereotypical controlling mother-in-law. When they got engaged, I cried tears of joy. I genuinely wanted them to be happy. I offered to help pay for the wedding, and they accepted. I didn't push for control. I just said, use it however you want. It's my gift. I imagined being there when Emma tried on dresses, going to tastings, helping with decor. Instead, weeks went by without updates. When I asked Emma about the dress, she'd say, "Oh, I already went with my mom and bridesmaids, but I'll send pictures." Spoiler, she rarely did. At one point, I asked Daniel gently, "Is everything okay?" "I feel a bit left out," he sighed and said, "Mom, don't start. This is our wedding. We're just busy." The "don't start" stayed with me. It's because what exactly had I started, except trying to be part of my own son's life? The final cracks began a few weeks before the wedding. I found out through a cousin that there was going to be a special groom and stepmom dance. Not a mother-son dance. A groom and stepmom dance. My ex-husband's new wife, Melissa, the woman who helped blow up my marriage, was getting a featured moment at my son's wedding, while I was being treated like background noise. I asked Daniel about it, trying to keep my voice calm. So there's a dance with Melissa. He paused and said, "Yeah, she's been there for me too, Mom. I don't want to hurt her feelings. I felt like I'd been slapped." "What about my feelings?" I asked. "You'll still have your dance," he answered, clearly annoyed. "Why does everything have to be about you?" That was the first time my son's words truly broke something inside me. But I swallowed it. I told myself, it's just one night. Don't make a scene. Don't be the AITA mother who ruins the wedding. Then the rehearsal dinner happened. At the rehearsal dinner, I arrived in a simple, elegant dress. Nothing flashy, nothing white. I sat at the table near the front, assuming parents would be close by. Then the wedding planner approached me with a clipboard and a too bright smile. "Actually, you're at table 9 over there," she said, pointing to a table in the back corner. I watched as my ex and his wife sat at table 1, right next to the couple. My name was buried like an afterthought. I felt my throat burning, but I moved to table 9. During the speeches, Emma's mother was praised as the rock of the family. Melissa was thanked for stepping up as a second mom. When Daniel stood up to talk, he said, "I'm so grateful for my dad and Melissa, who have supported Emma and me through everything." He didn't mention me once, not once. On the car ride home, I broke. Years of swallowing disrespect suddenly felt unbearable. I thought about all the Reddit revenge stories I'd binge-watched, all those people who said, I stayed quiet for too long. I realized I had a choice. Let them erase me quietly, or finally, tell the truth. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I opened my laptop and wrote everything. How I'd raised Daniel alone. The nights I'd gone without food, the bills paid late, the love, the arguments, the therapy, the betrayals. I wrote about how his father cheated, how Melissa had once called me clingy behind my back, how Emma had mocked me for texting too many heart emojis. I wrote about how it felt to sit at table 9 and watch my life get rewritten without me. Then I made a decision I knew I couldn't come back from. I took what I'd written and turned it into something short, sharp, and impossible to ignore. I printed copies. I saved a digital version. I recorded a voice message. Didn't know exactly how I'd use it yet, but I knew I would. On the wedding day, I arrived earlier than I needed to. I walked in, smiled at the photographer, hugged distant relatives. Outwardly, I was calm. Inside, my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. I had spoken to the DJ the night before under the excuse of surprising the couple with a short message. I told him I had a pre-recorded audio I wanted to play before the mother-son dance. I said it would be brief and emotional. Didn't lie. It was emotional. It's just not in the way they expected. The ceremony itself was beautiful. I'll give them that. Emma looked stunning walking down the aisle. Daniel looked nervous but happy. When he said his vows, I felt a bittersweet ache. That was my baby up there, promising forever to someone who had helped push me to the sidelines. When the officiant said, "If anyone has a reason these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace," I stayed silent. This wasn't about stopping the wedding. This was about exposing the truth. Things exploded at the reception. After the first dance and the cake cutting, it was time for the family segment. The DJ announced, "Now we'll have a few words from the groom's mother." Emma turned sharply to Daniel, confused. He looked just as surprised. No one had told them. That was the point. I stood up, feeling every eye in the room on me. My son looked annoyed, as if I was about to embarrass him with some cheesy childhood story. I walked to the microphone, smiled, and said, "Don't worry, I won't talk long. I just have something important to share." I glanced at the DJ and gave the smallest nod. Instead of starting my own speech, my recorded voice filled the room. "Hi, Daniel. If you're hearing this, it means we made it to your wedding day. I'm proud of you. Always have been." The room went quiet. The clinking of forks stopped. Chairs creaked as people turned to look at us. I know right now, some people in this room see me as difficult, dramatic, maybe even controlling. I know I wasn't the one who got thanked at the rehearsal dinner. I know I've been pushed to table 9. People started shifting uncomfortably. My ex's face turned red. Melissa grabbed his arm. Emma looked around, panicking slightly. But here's what a lot of you don't know. My voice continued over the speakers, steady and calm. When Daniel's father left, Daniel was 6. He cried himself to sleep for weeks. I worked double shifts to keep us afloat. There were nights I pretended I wasn't hungry so my son could have a second helping of pasta. I was the one at every parent-teacher meeting, every doctor's appointment, every panic attack at 2 a.m. I watched Daniel's expression change from annoyance to discomfort to something like guilt. My ex-husband likes to say I'm overbearing and too emotional. His wife likes to act like a second mother now that the hard years are over. And recently, I've been made to feel like I'm in everyone's way. Like I should be quiet, grateful for scraps of inclusion, happy with table 9. But I refuse to let my story and my motherhood be erased at my own son's wedding. You could have heard a pin drop. The DJ looked like he wanted to disappear. The wedding planner was staring at me in horror. Emma covered her mouth with her hand. A cousin in the back was already filming on their phone because, of course, they were. This was real-life Reddit drama in 4K. My recorded voice went on. Daniel, I love you. I always will. But love does not mean accepting disrespect forever. Love does not mean pretending it doesn't hurt to be replaced, downgraded, or forgotten. I have watched you thank everyone but me. I have watched you dance emotionally with the woman who helped tear our family apart while treating your own mother like an afterthought. So consider this my line in the sand. At that moment, I turned off the recording and picked up the live mic. From this point on, I said, my hands no longer shaking, I will not play the role of the quiet, grateful, disposable mother. I supported you. I paid for part of this wedding. I tried to keep the peace while being slowly pushed out, but being disrespected at my own son's wedding. That's where I stop. I hope you have a beautiful life together. But I won't be part of it if this is how I get treated. Someone gasped loudly. Emma whispered, oh my God. My ex stood up and hissed, what the hell are you doing? I looked at him and said, telling the truth, something you never managed to do. Then I placed the microphone down gently, turned, and walked toward the exit. That's when Daniel ran after me. Mom, wait, he called, grabbing my arm in front of everyone. His face was pale, eyes wild. You're making a scene. I looked him right in the eyes. No, sweetheart, I said softly. The scene was made years ago. I'm just not playing the quiet extra anymore. We argued in the hallway, voices low but intense. He said I had embarrassed him, ruined his wedding, exposed private things. I told him he had erased me over and over, and this was the only way he ever really listened. At some point, the venue manager and a security guard came over, clearly uncomfortable. That's when I heard him say it. She's not allowed back in. That's my mother. Just keep her out. And in that moment, something inside me went numb. You know that feeling in these wedding ITA stories where the op finally realizes, oh, this is who they really are. That was me. I realized my son was choosing his image, his new life, his curated narrative over the messy, painful, complicated truth of our history. So I left. I got in my car, sat there for 10 minutes with my hands on the wheel, and cried until I couldn't see the road. Then I wiped my face, took a deep breath, and did one more thing. Remember that written version of my story? I sent it to my family group chat, to a few close friends who had heard rumors, to my sister who always suspected there was more going on. I titled it, Since I Was Kicked Out of My Son's Wedding, Here's My Side. Within minutes, my phone started blowing up. My sister wrote, I knew something was off. An aunt said, I'm so sorry. This explains everything. A cousin who had been at the wedding texted, they're all freaking out right now. People are asking questions. By the next morning, someone had anonymously posted a version of my story online. It started gaining traction on wedding drama forums, toxic family subreddits, just like the ones so many of us doom scroll at night. Strangers were commenting things like, not the A**** hole. Your son and his dad are. And this is classic emotional manipulation and parental alienation. Some called me petty. Some said I should have stayed quiet. But for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. No, this story doesn't have a neat, happy ending. Daniel and I barely speak now. Emma blocked me on everything. My ex is telling everyone I ruined the wedding, conveniently leaving out the years of disrespect leading up to that moment. Some relatives think I went too far. Others quietly message me late at night saying, I get it. My kids did something similar. That's the thing about family betrayal and revenge from the outside. It looks like drama. From the inside, it feels like survival. Do I regret what I did? Some days, yes. Some days, the grief of losing my son like this feels like a second divorce. But other days, when I remember standing at table 9, listening to my son thank everyone but me, watching my motherhood get edited out like a bad line in a script. On those days, I'm proud I finally chose myself. Because this isn't just a viral wedding story. This is what happens when you let people rewrite your role in their life for so long that you become unrecognizable even to yourself. One day, you either stay silent forever, or you pick up the microphone and expose everything. Now, here's where you come in. If you were at that wedding, sitting there watching all of this unfold, what would you think? Was I completely out of line for exposing the truth at my son's wedding? Or was that the only moment I'd ever truly been honest about the way my family treated me? Let me know in the comments, what would you have done in this situation? Subscribe to Golden Years Diary for more Reddit family betrayal stories.